me for every time I made somebody think they had to get it all worked out first. I'm glad God didn't do that with me, because when I came to him, I was a mess. When I came to him, I had no business being in the presence. I had no business being in his house. We're supposed to be running a healing house. And guess who's at the healing house? Sick people. And we're afraid of them. And they come and they're looking for assistance. See, because we're not real good at admitting this, because we all want to think that we want everybody to think we got it all put together. I am good, bro. Don't worry, I'm good. When we all need assistance, we need people. You need, I say we because I try to include myself, and I want to talk to you now. You need people. And what happens is, when there's somebody that we know needs something, don't act like you can't tell, because you know who the sick person is, right? Amen. Don't act like you don't know who the sick person is. You know, the one that you avoid at all. Okay, let's flip it now. Let's go back to the natural. All right, we're not spiritual right now, we're natural. Do you avoid sick people? Just say yes. We do. You know somebody's sick, you don't go to their house, right? And then even after, this preacher's so easy. This preacher's so easy. And then even after they tell you they're better, did you disinfect everything in the house? Did you scrub it down with bleach? You know that, oh man, this is going to preach so good. I love this. You know that stuff can stay alive on surfaces for like 854 years. If you don't wipe it off, it's still there. We won't even let somebody get better. Right. Because we're going to try to convince, here I'm going to preach for a second. Because we're going to try to convince them they're still sick. I'm not sure if we should. We need to make sure. We need to make sure, Brother Zach. I know that you said the Lord saved you, and I know you spoke in tongues when the Holy Ghost came. But I just want to. I'm just making sure. I don't know. I don't really. Yeah. Everybody turns into a doctor. It's 2022. Everyone here's a doctor, right? Right. Just Google it. Right? Hey, you told me all your symptoms and I looked it up. You got about 7 hours to live. Hope you got your bucket list all done. You ain't going to make it till tomorrow. How do you know that? I saw it on the internet. I was on WebMD. And what happens in the church? Everybody turns into the doctor. I know what you're. We're so afraid of sick people, we won't even let them get well. Right. We're going to make sure, Brother Chris, that we let them know, you ain't there yet, bro. You haven't got to where I got to yet. I'll let you. Am I preaching, or is this mic on this morning? Guess what? You're not where I am yet, but keep trying. You'll get there one day. You're just still a little sick. I'm glad that Jesus healed me. I'm glad that when I came like the woman with the issue of blood, I drug myself through the mud. I had tried everything else and it didn't work. I wasted all my time and money on the doctor, and then I finally figured the only way this is getting fixed if I get to Jesus. And so I crawled and I scratched Jesus said, "Who touched me?" They said, "How in the world can you ask who touched you? Don't you see this throng of people around you?" And Jesus said, "No, this is different. Virtue's gone out of me. Someone just got healed." Have you ever experienced that? When you knew you were sick and everybody else around you were sick and you needed some help and you wasn't getting it from the doctors. Amen. Jesus said, "I came to help the sick folk." And guess what? We need to make sure that we are still offering a healing house. Let me give you another example, because when you talk about the sick, everyone gets nervous. That's what happens. Proverbs 14:4 says this. I know I didn't give it to you, brother man. You can get it real quick. Proverbs 14:4 says, "Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. But much increase is by the strength of the ox." This verse speaks of a clean crib because there are no animals there. Because guess what? An oxen can be dirty. An oxen can sometimes be smelly. An oxen needs fed, and an oxen needs water. And an oxen needs shelter. To put it simple, an oxen can leave a mess. We're afraid of the oxen just like we're afraid of the sick people, because they leave a mess. Where there's no oxen, it's real clean. But you need the oxen for the harvest. You know the parable about the harvest in the Bible? You all read that? Parable about the harvest in the Bible where it says, "Look out on the fields. They're white to the harvest. They're ready." There's some folks right now in your life, in all of your lives, there's some folks right now that are right on that edge. They're ready. Something needs to happen in their life, but they're ready. The harvest is white, but I ain't got no one to harvest it. So in order to have the harvest, you need to have laborers. And the laborers a lot of times work with the oxen, because the oxen would always equal a harvest. But we don't want the oxen around because sometimes the crib gets dirty. So what do? We sacrifice the harvest for a clean crib. We sacrifice a harvest for a clean crib. What are you trying to say, Pastor? Guess what? Everyone, I don't even know any way to say this. I was going to say everyone's not perfect is what I was going to say, but I stopped myself because I want to say it this way. No one is perfect. No one. When we know someone struggles, when we know someone has an issue, when we know someone has a vice, when we know somebody has a problem, when we know someone has an addiction, when we know someone's hurting, when we know someone isn't where they want to be, when we know somebody needs a little helping hand, why in the world do we shy away from the sick person? Why in the world do we scare an oxen away? Because it dirties the crib up a little bit. Guess what? You need the oxen for the harvest, and the harvest is ready now. And Jesus sends people to the healing house because He expects us to help them. He expects us to assist them. What do we do? We're afraid of sick people. How long are they going to be sick? This woman was sick for 12 years. The man at the pool was there for 38 years. I love the story about the man at the pool, and look how wonderful I am this morning? I just noticed this. Everybody look real quick. I didn't push start.
Oh boy.
So that means
No.
we're starting right now. All right. All right. You'll be preaching to yourself.
That's 43 minutes.
The man at the pool, Brother Brown, I love what he said to Jesus, because he was there for 38 years, Brother Zach, and Jesus said, what's the problem? I'm paraphrasing. What's going on? What's wrong? He's like, well, you know, the angel comes down and trembles the water, and he said, here's this little phrase I like. He said, while I'm coming, somebody always gets in before me. And we always get somebody gets in first, and we miss the first part of what the man said. He said, while I'm coming.
Right. Absolutely.
While I'm coming, I'm still messed up.
Right.
While I'm coming, I'm still lame. While I'm coming, I'm still sick. While I'm coming, I'm coughing a little bit. I got a fever. I might please, let that be different. While I'm coming, I might throw up every once in a while. While I'm coming, you might have to help me out a little bit. You might have to cover me up. You might have to bring me a drink. You might have to help me. But while I am coming, would you please help me while I'm coming? I know how church folks are, because I've been around them my whole life. And too often, we wait until they get it all right. We wait until they're whole. Because no one, I should have changed the title. Because no one hangs out with a sick person. So we wait till they're whole. How many times have you heard, and if you've never heard this, I've heard it with enough family members that I'll say it for everybody. How many times have you heard the doctor's report say, if you'd just come sooner?
Right.
If you wouldn't have waited so long. Can I go back to the story that I read from the book? I know everyone's thoughts. I had all of your undivided attention when I was talking about that low down, dirty, no good, sorry excuse. Why did God give her a child woman? What kind of mother sells her daughter? And everybody's like, yeah, shame on her. And the guy says, did you ever think about going to church? Why in the world I want to go there? I already feel bad enough. Why do I want this altar should be full right now. Why do I want to go somewhere where they're just going to make me feel worse? Because nobody wants to hang out with the sick person. But Jesus said, that's the reason I'm here. Now listen, I'm going to say some things right now that some people's going to say, I don't know, you should have said it that way. God didn't save you so you could look Christian. God saved you so you could be a Christian. You're missing that. Was a little bit, went a little bit right here. God did. I know it's people staying right now because I can feel it. The fiery darts. I can put on my shield of faith right now because I know you've done denied the faith and you're worse than an infidel. You're telling us we're not supposed to dress holy? No, I'm telling you that's not why God saved you. God saved you so you can be a Christian and that you can be Christ-like, so that you can lead somebody to God. Yeah, I believe in holiness, but that's not why God saved you. eyeballs. You all can't. You have these involuntary movements in your body. You don't always know you're doing it. I was watching when I was reading Mark chapter 2, and I was going, and some of you are like, dude, he's coughing. I think he's got it or something. I don't know. I ain't coming back tonight.
Brother Leo will give him 2 waters. He rarely drinks the water sometimes. But then again, he gives 3 waters. Oh, they're a lot smaller. Where's big ones back there now?
See the way she was dressed. My mama raised me better. Look at the church. Can you believe that? Praise God! Hallelujah!
Right.
Preach it!
Yeah.
Yesterday, I heard that you, hey, after church, don't let me forget to tell you what I saw. Amen, Pastor Darrell!
No. Right. No. That's right.
I know.
Right.
You all can pretend like that doesn't happen. It probably happened this morning already while I was preaching.
Come on.
God sends the sick people, and we're afraid of them. Let me make a loud proclamation. That doesn't mean loud that I have to raise my voice an octave. It means loud that I want everybody to hear me. This is a healing house. And I'm praying for God to send every sick person in Trumbull County to evening light and I want to read this real quick, and then I'm going to close, I promise. Anybody ever heard of a halfway house? A halfway house is a residential center where drug users, sex offenders, the mentally ill, or convicted felons are placed immediately after they are released from a primary institution such as a prison, hospital, or rehabilitation facility. The purpose of a halfway house is to allow the person to begin the process. You guys listen to me?
Yes.
Allow the person to begin the process of reintegration with society while still providing monitoring and support. This is generally, oh wow, this ain't even in the Bible. This is generally believed to reduce the risk of relapse when compared to a release directly into society. The healing house. The place where all the people that got saved when they were 2 and never smoked and never drank and never did drugs and never watched porn and never gambled and never stole and never cheated on their wife and never got a speeding ticket. That's the kind of no, a place where the drug users, you're going to bring those people. I'm going to preach right where you're at, because I know where you are. I'll be so nervous if you bring, I'll go out and check my car. Dude, you'll make me have to start locking my doors before you need the Holy Ghost. You need the Holy Ghost. The place where drug users, sex offenders, convicted felons, with the purpose of allowing the person to begin the process. Jesus said, you know what they yelled at it, Brother Zach? They yelled at Jesus for the very thing I'm preaching to you right now.
Right.
Why are you hanging out with the bad people? Because that's who I came for.
Right.
Why do you want all That's why we're here. That's why we're here. That's our purpose. And when the sick person comes in, now look, spiritually coughing, vomiting, you know they need help. There's some people, I only pastor this church, so it's the only one I can talk about, Sister Gay. There's some people when they walk in here, you know they need help. It's usually the ones we shy from. It's usually the ones we're not real, that we don't invite them over. They might smoke a cigarette outside the door of our house, and there has never been nicotine dawn in the presence of my... Seriously? I had somebody tell me one time that they were going to chastise the preacher, just like people chastise Jesus. I said it from the platform. I'm going to say it again this morning because I mean it as much as I believe Acts 2:38. I said, I don't care if they put the cigarette out with their foot right before they walk in the door, and somebody said, you can't have a bunch of cigarette butts outside the door. I said, really? That's what you're talking about. God sends a person to his house that needs help. You don't know you don't know the pill bottle they're about to take, the whole bottle, the gun they're about to put in their mouth. They're about to go in the garage and turn the engine on and leave the note on the kitchen table, and you're worried about them putting a cigarette out outside the church house door. Yes, please come and put your cigarette out. Please. Because Jesus said, I came for the sick people. Yes, I'm glad for those that walk the straight and narrow. Yes, I'm glad for the pillars of the church. Yes, I'm glad for those whose garments are white without spot or wrinkle or any such thing. But what about the sick people? That's why we're here. To love them while they're sick. To hug them while they're coughing, not literally. To make them